Check, check.
Check, check. Oh,
Check, check.
there I am. Okay. Yep. Thank you. So hello and welcome to the regular council meeting for Monday, January 12th, 2026. Thank you for being here, those of you in the audience, and welcome back, council. I would like to start by recognizing that we are gathering and governing on the unceded traditional territories of what is now known as the Comox Nation. And we are incredibly grateful for their grace and collaboration as we do this good work on their lands. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. And there are minutes from regular council December 8th.
Can I make just a small comment on the minutes?
Oh, sure.
I just noticed on the Board of Variance meeting minutes that the minutes showed that they found hardship and approved the things. And I was at the meeting and I do not recall any mentions of hardship in the discussions. So I'm just wondering if
Does staff want to comment on that or
I
any info on the Board of Variance? I don't know who attends. I think it might be Karen. Nope. Thanks, Courtney.
Well, I recall the Board of Variance meeting that there was a discussion about that the minutes needed to record there was a hardship, which presumably all of the board found, although a thorough conversation about the hardship was not discussed. So I believe the minutes are adequate.
okay.
Yes.
Okay. I just I guess in the future I'd like to actually hear or have enumerated what the actual hardship is that's being faced.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank
Thanks. Okay, so
you. I'll move the minutes.
One small correction, if I may.
okay.
The public hearing says that I was present by electronic means. I believe I was in the room.
Ooh, you're in two places at once. Okay, so with that correction, the regular council meeting December 8th, public hearing December 15th, and Board of Variance December 17th.
I'll second.
Thank you. And all in favor? Thank you. And our first item on the agenda is correspondence from Dig FM, formerly CVOX Radio, and a request for a letter of support. Does anybody want to speak to it, or we all know what we're
Yeah, I was
talking
just
about?
going to say this is a typical letter that a new radio station would need to request for the regulatory
for CRTC or something?
TC. Yeah.
Okay, great. So there's a recommendation there, council.
I'll move that council receive the correspondence from Dig FM Radio regarding the Canadian Radio, Television and Telecommunications Commission CRTC application for community radio license.
Thank you. Seconder? Oh, yeah, we need
Could
to write a
I
letter.
discuss that? Could I
If
amend that?
council would like to support the
and-
application, the motion would have to indicate that.
And I would like to move that council direct staff to provide a letter of support for indicating that.
Second.
Good?
Mhm.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, that's carried. And bylaw number 900, Comox Valley Economic Development Service conversion to Comox Valley Tourism Service. Does anyone, do you want to just
Yeah,
tell the
it's
public?
just they need to. It's just a follow up from the Comox Valley Tourism Strategy, which you've seen and the board approved. They just want to include destination development and management through that strategy.
So that for the public's knowledge, the Economic Development Service no longer exists, and we are switching this service to the Comox Valley Tourism Service. So there's a recommendation there, council.
Yeah, I will recommend that council consent to the adoption of a Comox Valley Regional District Bylaw number 900, being Comox Valley Economic Development Service Conversion Bylaw number 345/2016, Amendment number 4 under Section 346 of the Local Government Act.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of that transition? Thank you. That's carried. And Comox Valley Airport Commission, another request for funding application. Does anybody want to speak to that?
This is just from the airport. They want to apply for a grant for expansion of, I believe, electronic equipment or,
Yeah, it's some
things
kind of
like that.
electric
Yeah, so-
transporter.
yeah.
It
and
pushes the
it's-
airplanes back and forth.
Yeah, sure.
yeah,
Okay.
approximately 900 grand. They would be getting like 675 grand of that. So
Okay, great. So there's a recommendation there, council?
And that
Oh.
includes a letter of support as well, does it?
Okay, so we need to include that in the recommendation.
I'll move that council receive the correspondence from the Comox Valley Airport Commission regarding their BC Air Access Program grant application and direct staff to write a letter of support in favor.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? That's carried unanimously as well. And Wounded Warrior Run, this is an annual run. I believe it's managed by the RCMP or 19 Wing or some combination of that. And runners run a really long way, and I can't remember exactly where it goes, but this year it's starting from our Legion. And they run to raise money for mental health programs for people with PTSD, from firefighters to RCMP to military members. So it is surprising to me that the federal government doesn't fully fund these programs, mostly because they are the employer for most of these people. And yet, here we are. So there's a request from them to council for some funding, and then there's also a request to make sure that we put information on our website because it will be starting at the Legion, and then that we support this work in whatever way we can by telling people about it and helping to raise funds. So any discussion on that, council?
Sure.
Thank you.
This is a great cause, and like you say, I'm surprised that the government isn't funding this. I fully support us advertising this, promoting it in any way we can, but I struggle with supporting it with taxpayer funds. Unfortunately. I believe we have a very generous community. I believe the community will come out and support this event, and probably to the tune of significantly more than $2,500. But I think it should be on a voluntary basis rather than us.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Did you want to say something as
no,
well?
just
No.
agreed. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, so I think we just need a motion to support in the ways that they've requested, except for the financial funding. Would that work? Or do you want us to be specific about the?
It would be helpful to have direction to advertise on the website specifically because we do get often requests from third parties to use the website, and it's not our typical practice to do that. We usually only use it for village events and activities only.
Yeah, I wonder if would it be easier or more in alignment with our policy to just do a social media post about it? We don't do that either, probably.
Either or. I think council direction would be helpful to.
Okay. Council, what do you think?
I see no harm in doing a social media post about it. I think that'll have the most impact, and just try and keep the web page to village activities primarily. So
Yeah, I think we could probably all do that and share it if we're willing to go on social media right now. Okay, and then there are the other one is a request to help promote the gala and the run. So we can do that individually, I think. Okay. Can somebody form that into a motion?
Okay, I'll have a go. Oh, am I the motion on the run?
Yeah, you're the motion on the run.
I propose that council receive a correspondence from Wounded Warriors Run, BC 2026, and promote the event via social media.
Yep, that's probably good.
Yeah.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you for that.
Simple.
And anybody who wants to see them start their run, it's at 6 a.m. at the Legion on February 20.
Thursday. Sorry.
February 20. Nope. February 26th, 2026.
I'm assuming the gala's the night before?
The gala's on the 20. Yeah, on the
Yeah,
25th.
That might be easier to attend.
Yes.
No, as I see it, the gala dinner is actually being held on January the 31st. It's in the lines. It's in the early stage of the letter. At Delta Hotels, I believe that's.
Oh,
there.
that's the other. Yeah,
Um,
you're right.
then the main event runs between the 22nd and March the 1st.
And there's another
the-
request for us to attend the other
Yeah.
Meet the Team event. Okay. Thanks for clarifying. Did we vote on that? We voted on that. Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Wouldn't hurt to do it again.
Okay, all in favor of all of that? Thank you. Okay, next up is the big OCP, official community plan amendment and rezoning. Oh, no, it's not. It's just Maple Street.
It's the little
Sorry.
one above.
Oh, I got all excited. It's the smaller big thing, which is amendment and rezoning of Lot A Maple Street. Happy New Year, Seamus.
Happy New Year to you all, and good evening. So the purpose of my report here is to request initial council direction on the proposed rezoning at Maple Street. The applicant wishes to rezone the subject property from the proposed R1 infill residential zone to the proposed RMU multi-unit residential zone to facilitate a 71-unit rental apartment building and 54-unit townhouse complex. So the purpose of tonight's report is really just an introductory report. So we're just presenting the high-level concept and doing a policy review and analysis of how this proposal meets our bylaws and policies. So of course this is just a concept, so it is subject to change as the development process unfolds. So some things to keep in mind, like details, like your impact studies, we'll be doing that later in the development process throughout this rezoning application. And items like design and the like, those are things that we would be considering as part of development permit should the rezoning be proposed. So tonight we're just going to be looking at policy and general bylaw alignment. Now before I get going, one thing I will note is because we are anticipating adoption of the official community plan and zoning bylaw in the coming months, my report will be really referring to those proposed bylaws, since we're so close in that transition period. So when I'm making references to policies and zoning, unless stated otherwise, you can assume that they are in the forthcoming and proposed bylaws. So overall, the first comment is that this proposal does align with the regional growth strategy and proposed official community plan policies on housing, including locating housing close to services and facilitating housing options in the village that are other than single family or single dwelling homes. So some specific policies that this proposal will help meet is encouraging affordable rentals. So one of the things we are looking at with this rezoning application is exploring options including housing agreements or the use of the residential tenancy multi-unit zone to secure things like affordable rentals and housing in the village. So one thing to keep in mind too is by requesting affordable housing units, that would help the applicant meet their amenity contribution expectations, since we do ask for amenity contributions as part of zoning amendments. The proposal will also, as presented, will have an impact on meeting the village's targeted housing needs. So as we're aware, the 2024 housing needs assessment identified the need for approximately 358 housing units total by 2026 and 1,350 units by 2041. So this application, if it were to be approved as presented, could help provide 35% of the identified 2026 housing need and 9% of the identified housing need by 2041. That housing needs report also identified the need for studios and one-bedroom units, and this proposal, especially in the apartment, has units ranging from studio to three-bedroom style units. So it does offer a bit of a spectrum of unit styles, including, of course, the townhouse units. So the land use designation, of course, under the current official community plan, OCP 990-2014, that land use designation is for single detached dwellings. So of course, this current multi-unit development would not comply with that designation. That said, under the proposed official community plan, The property is to be designated multi-unit residential, which would facilitate this proposal. So under the proposed land use designation of multi-unit residential, that land use designation wants to see projects of up to 160 dwelling units per hectare. As the property is approximately 2.3 hectares in area, the maximum density permitted by official community plan policy is 368 units for this entire property. As part of this concept, the applicant is proposing 125 units, so the proposal would comply with the proposed land use designation. The property is within 2 development permit areas. A portion of the north property is designated as being within development permit area 1 for environmental protection due to the wetland on the north side of the property. Now, the applicant has submitted a memo from a biologist reporting that the property is actually well away from the buffer on the neighboring property. So that is something we are going to be investigating as the development process proceeds. So that certainly is on our radar. And of course, the other item would be a development permit area 4 for forming characters. So that's when we're getting into the details of design. And something that we are considering as part of that process, of course, is view corridors. The property is sited within a view corridor to the forested slopes to the south of the village. So this is a detail we'd be looking to address as, again, part of the development permit process. So again, that's a bit more of a fine detail that would be resolved should it get to that stage. So for the zoning bylaw side of things, so the applicant is requesting the residential multi-unit zone for apartments and townhouses. So this is, of course, the most appropriate zone to provide to facilitate the project. And under that zone's default density, a maximum of 50 dwelling units per hectare is allowed in that zone. So in order to facilitate the proposal as presented under the RMU zone, the applicant requires a text amendment to boost the density, or up the density from 50 units per hectare to 54 units per hectare. So that would be the purpose of this rezoning, is it would be rezoning the property and doing a text amendment to allow for that requested density on the subject property. So the other part of it is that the property would be held to the development standards in the RMU zone. Now, it is very similar to some of the townhouse zones we have in the community now. So it can be expected that the townhouse development would follow very similar development patterns as you see some of the townhouse complexes that have been built in the last few years. Now, the one thing, of course, to keep in mind here is we also have a potential height variance on the board here. So the applicant is requesting a 5-story apartment at 18 meters, whereas the current zone allows for a 4-story apartment at 15 meters. And this request is simply just to make the apartment financially viable, and as such, the applicant has taken some steps to try and mitigate impacts to surrounding areas, specifically by putting the apartment in its current location to help mitigate some of the impacts from neighboring properties. Of course, this is a draft concept, so that is subject to change, but that is sort of the rationale why they cited it that way. It was just to help mitigate that transition to the neighboring properties. So the next steps, if council directs staff to proceed with the rezoning application, of course there is public engagement required, so they would be required to hold a public information meeting to receive comments from the public and present a more refined proposal. And if it does get to the stage where we are considering it for adoption of a bylaw, we would not be required to host a public hearing because it would at that point potentially align with the official community plan as proposed at this time. So if it gets to that stage, we would of course still issue a notice of first reading, and at that point we would receive written submissions from the public. At this point, we actually have received a few inquiries from the general public, again looking for some of the finer details like traffic impacts and design considerations, and we've advised these members of the community that this information will become more available as the process proceeds, because again we are at that high level policy analysis stage. We do have some referrals to committees proposed as well, including the Advisory Planning Commission, which is just an automatic staff referral. As well, we want to refer this application to the Homelessness and Housing Committee. So this committee, of course, does require a resolution from council for referral, and we do have that as a recommendation for you tonight. We'll also be referring the proposal to external agencies, including the school district and Comox First Nation, as well as other agencies such as BC Hydro for more comment on the technical servicing side of things. So on the report there, we do have 2 recommendations for you tonight, recommending that council directs staff to proceed with rezoning application OCP RZ 2501 for Lot A Maple Street to facilitate a proposed apartment and townhouse development, and that council refer the rezoning application to the Homelessness and Housing Committee. I thank you and welcome your questions.
Thanks so much, Seamus. And I do appreciate staff bringing this to us prior to moving forward with the development to make sure that it's sort of in our vision. So I think that's a really good new practice that we're doing. So thank you. Council, comments, questions? Who wants to start?
Oh, you want me? Okay, I got a few. Firstly, you said this would be under the new bylaws. I was under the impression, so please correct me, that the application date set which bylaws were applicable to any given application. Is that not the case? Does this become?
Yeah, if you take this one.
For subdivision applications, that's correct. There's in-stream protection specifically laid out in the legislation. For everything else, well, and also building permits, so subdivision and building permits, that's correct. But for other applications like rezoning and development permits, they do need to meet the current bylaws at the time that the bylaw is actually being amended, not the date of the application.
Excellent, thank you. Rental, are they suggesting they're open to guaranteeing that as rental property in a legal form?
That's correct. So that is something we are looking for as part of the apartment. So securing some of those units as rental is to happen. So sorry, I should clarify that the intention for the apartment is for it to be a rental complex, and then we would be working with the applicant with things like maybe housing agreements to try and get some of those units as affordable housing.
Right. Any indication of what percentage of those units at this point?
Not at this point. That's something that would come in as part of our negotiations.
All right. What else are they going to have here? Order of construction is often a question of whether the rental turns up first or the townhouses. Any indication of intention or willingness to commit?
So like timelines on when things would, like what building would come first? Not at this time. So that's something we'd be evaluating as part of the development process.
Yeah, obviously the reason for my question there is that rental is definitely the housing type we're most short of in the community. And we have seen examples where townhouses are built and sold, and then the rental lot sits empty in other communities. Okay. You said amenities would come later. I do think with this we'd need to look at road junction or traffic with Bevan Road meeting Cumberland Road. That's definitely becoming busier and busier and busier. And also potentially ways of limiting any rat running through that Maple Street. It could be as simple as the crosswalks are raised. But anyway, those are detail. But
exactly, and those are things that would come up as part of our traffic, part of the traffic portion of the file. And one thing I will note too, that the purpose of tonight also is for council to give their just some general feedback. So these comments will help us when we come back to the applicant.
Thank you. You said that a public hearing would not be required, which sort of feels like we could choose to do it or not. My understanding is that we're prohibited from holding a public hearing if it's in line with OCP. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes. So if it is, if a proposal does align with the official community plan, then we are prohibited from holding a public hearing, and instead we would just be sending out the notice of first reading.
Yeah, so it's not a council
That's
option.
correct, sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so I would, I think I'll come to my main point here then. Firstly, that I fully support this type of housing and this type of density, and have done so since, well, all my time on the APC and during my election campaign. And every time anything like this comes up, I say this is the sort of housing we need. So, I applaud the developer for bringing it forward and for you guys for working on it. At the same time, we've just gone through a lot of public consultation, a lot of work to set our zoning preferences, and they're very clearly 4 stories. And we've talked in length that Ulverston Lot A began as 4, went up to 5. And we pushed them for 3. We settled on 4. I don't feel it's my job to, make their financial case better and better. It's our job to get the housing that matches the community, and I take it there's a balance there. But personally, it's both. We've said the zoning maximum height across the village should be 15 metres, and I feel that it would be wrong for the very first application to come to us for us to go, on second thoughts, And then also, it's a subtle one, but the density of 50 versus 54, units per hectare, that's the same thing. We've just done all that work and set that number with a lot of consultants and staff time and a lot of community input. And I think it would be useful. It doesn't feel like this development is that far away from the zone we are proposing. So my preference would certainly be, I find it difficult to sort of approve 5. The exception to that might be if they were willing to do half of the rentals as housing agreement, formal, affordable, with all of the BC housing type pieces, if we were at half or greater, but that's a really big step. So, yeah, there you go.
I think I think staff wants to respond to that.
I
to
just want
clarify.
to add a little bit more background information to the units per hectare and the need to rezone for that increased units per hectare. There was a lot of discussion internally, and it did come to council at one point, I believe in the summer or fall, about do we want to pre-zone this property on Maple Street for the higher density. The height wasn't specifically discussed at that time, but the higher density certainly was. And staff didn't recommend that, and it wasn't directed by council, and the main reason is that if it's pre-zoned, yes, that makes the development process much quicker, and they can go straight to development permit, but we don't have an opportunity to negotiate and secure affordable housing. In the future, hopefully, we will have inclusionary zoning. It's in the work program to discuss that in a couple of years, in which case we would set a specific percentage that must be included as affordable housing. So it would make it more realistic to pre-zone something like this. So although the units per hectare increases, if we had that inclusionary zoning in place, I think staff would have recommended that be part of the zoning bylaw update, that increase in density.
Thank you. And I think I guess what I was alluding to in a roundabout way was density bonusing of some nature. I would like to see it more than
Right.
a couple of apartments,
Right, okay.
Which we've seen in the past that 5%, 10% for 10 years, and 10 years is not affordable housing, 20 to 50 years is. So yeah, that's what I'd like to.
Thank you, Councillor. Next.
Yeah, I'll echo that. I'm largely in support of this type of development. The diversity is largely needed in the village. Yeah, the apartment, the 5th floor is a very sticky point for sure, but I like the conversation, and if the proponent is willing to talk about that, I would be too at this table, but it would have to be very significant things that would need to be dealt with to agree with that. But yeah, I'm supportive of this moving forward largely.
Okay.
I'll be brief. Yeah, I like it, except for the 5th floor again. I think we've all heard that loud and clear from the village residents, especially if you look at the folks on Primrose would suddenly have a 5-story development peering down into their backyards. That would be unpleasant for a lot of residents to lose that privacy. I think it could come at the cost of a few townhouses in that area. I think the development could still be viable, just to maybe broaden the footprint of the apartment itself. So, if that were the case, I'd be supportive of it.
Councillor Therrien.
Hi, yeah, just a couple of questions. There's 2 different densities listed in the report. What is the 160 units per hectare density at the top of the report? Where does that number come from?
Is that the old one or the new one?
What page is it on? What page is it on?
It's right under the regional growth strategy, page 2 of 7, 39 of 500.
39.
Yes, so that's right. So that's the land use designation in the official community plan. So under the official community plan, the density is 160 units per hectare. So what I did there was it's just the math between the actual size of the lots. The lot is 2.3 hectares, so 160 times that gets to the 368.
So that's the density stated in the OCP, but then the 50 units per hectare is the actual zoning bylaw.
That's
or
correct.
the proposed zoning bylaw.
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's ultimately like the zoning governs what can actually be built on the ground, whereas the official community plan, like when you're reviewing the zone that would be most appropriate and the project that would be most appropriated for that lot, you'd be evaluating it against what's in the official community plan. So they work together, but ultimately the zoning governs what gets built.
Okay, yep, good. Would this also be in the wildlife interface zone or the wildfire interface zone, being on the edge?
Oh, that's a good question.
Would that DPA also have to be met?
Yeah.
I know under the, I don't believe it's in the, oh my, I'm on. Under the current OCP, I don't think it's in the wildfire DPA.
I'm confused what that wildfire DPA is for then, because if it only covers existing developments, but then they don't have to do any upgrades because they're in the zone.
Or it doesn't, yeah.
Then whenever you build something on the edge of the forest, it seems to me that it would need to comply.
Yeah, my Wi-Fi's come back.
Yeah, okay. Again, this is something we can do as we move along, but I would like to see that on the radar. And then I'm going to make the same comment I always make. I would be willing to trade parking for a rental car share or a car share program if they're willing to provide that sort of a thing. Again, I'm willing to trade parking spaces for that as part of a thing. I don't know, I see some nods around the council table as well. Yeah.
And sorry, I'll just take a sec here to follow up with the wildfire DPA4 comment. So a portion of the property along the north property line is within the wildfire DPA.
Okay.
So yeah, development in that area would be subject to this DPA.
Excellent.
And the north, clarify, the north portion is the one that butts up against the forest.
Yep.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. So yeah, thank you, council, for those comments. I feel the same way. It's hard to work so hard on OCP, and then the first application that comes, we make an exception to the OCP. However, that's how you get affordable housing. And so I'm willing to do that for affordable housing. I didn't hear I heard mention that the developer is willing to make the apartment rental. Can we put a rental zone on it? Can we spot zone it rental?
Yes, and that's one of the things we are looking at as part of our discussions with the applicant.
Okay, great. And then you're saying that there's no single-family dwellings to the north or the south. Now I know which direction north and south is, so thank you. Google Maps doesn't tell you when you Google Map. And so I think the another consideration for that fifth story or that density is the impact on the existing single family on Primrose, and making sure that they are not looming over those backyards. I think, when I look at this, as much as 5 stories is challenging, if we are going to do 5 stories, this is a very good spot for it. It's not looming over anyone. It's against a forest. It's right backed up against the forest. So that siting is really important. If that siting changed, my opinion on the impact of this would also change. And then again, just to reiterate the traffic, I don't think we want to route these people up Kendall or down Primrose. So somehow managing that traffic out to Bevan and then out to Cumberland Road with some mitigation at Cumberland Road, because that's going to increase traffic exponentially. There's no other way out of there except to Cumberland Road. So we need to, that area is going to become challenging without a roundabout or something. And yes, I said it, roundabout. Okay, so there's 2, is that, yes?
Could I just make a point of clarification? I believe that the OCP does not establish a 4-story height maximum, but there is currently no zone in the zoning bylaw that would allow that height. So the OCP does not, is silent on a number of stories, taking a more broad approach to units per hectare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that clarification. And again, just to reiterate that we are talking, when we're all through this whole presentation, when you're speaking about the OCP, it is the new OCP we're referring to, not the old one. It's a bit confusing to be in this in-between zone. Okay, so did you get what you needed? We just need the recommendations, obviously, but that's good for the feedback you're looking for.
Yeah,
Anybody have anything else to add?
No, I think that gives us a good start for sure, and
Great.
of course we'll be bringing it back to council when.
Yeah, we'll
when
see it
we're
a few
when we get
times. Okay, great. So there's recommendations there, Council.
I'll move that council direct staff to proceed with the rezoning application OCP RZ2501 Lot A Maple Street to facilitate a proposed amendment, proposed apartment and townhouse development, and that council refer the rezoning application OCP RZ2501 Lot A Maple Street to the Homelessness and Housing Committee.
I'll second that, but I have a question further, a slight further question.
Yep.
The referral to the Homelessness and Housing Committee, will they see that again as this moves along? I mean, obviously that's at our discretion, but that would be normal, because without much information about the affordable element, it may be hard for them to give meaningful input.
Right. Yeah, and I don't think we're held to like the timing. Like, I don't think it has to be this precise moment, but maybe that's something we can work on timing on when we have a bit more information to share.
That's correct. And to build on that, we were imagining taking this to the Housing Committee after getting more information from the applicant, after much more refined proposal. So certainly not the next meeting, but within the coming months. But now we have that resolution sort of on record from council. We can now do that when we have a more developed proposal.
Okay.
It's fine with me.
Yep. Would it be helpful to amend the recommendation to, or amend the motion to include to the homelessness houses as many times as needed?
Because it
If you
looks like
wanted
we're
to-
sending it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, good question.
And then you wouldn't need a further referral to us if you decided to take it back to them a second time.
Or even just to say referral to Homelessness and Housing Committee
When ready.
when the application is ready
Maybe when
Or
it
as-
is required.
or as required.
When is as required, because that way it would just unlock that, so we don't have to come back with
Yeah,
another report
exactly.
and say, can we
As
get another
required.
referral?
Yeah, so I'd be willing to add as required to my motion.
Yeah.
When and as required.
Nice.
Do you want us to officially amend that? Nope, because we haven't done it yet. Have we? Yes, we have.
There's
We
a seconder,
seconded
but
it.
as long as there's no objection from any member there, you can go ahead and vote.
Okay.
Change.
All in favor? Thank you. Okay, thank you. And next up is Cumberland Community Heritage Register additions from Jasmine. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you all as well. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The purpose of this report is to present 4 new sites: the Abbey Studio, Cumberland Electric Light and Company Hydro Plant Remnants, the Marochi Building, and the Tarbell Building, each documented with a statement of significance to add to the Cumberland Community Heritage Register. Established in 2017, the register serves as an official list of properties acknowledged by the village as having historic, cultural, and social value. Each year, the village, in collaboration with the Heritage Committee, evaluates and adds new sites to the register. Properties are selected using a values-based methodology that reflects the historic, cultural, and social significance of each place to the community or region. Last year, these 4 properties were proposed for inclusion to the register. Following their selection, as a detailed SOS was prepared for each site, outlining its values as well as its character-defining elements. The SOS for the Marochi Building and the Tarbell Building were prepared by the Heritage Committee member Eric Patterson in a volunteer capacity, and the SOS for the Abbey, the hydroplant remnants was prepared by the heritage consultant Ilana Zusblatt. All 4 have received resolution from the Heritage Committee. The 4 sites proposed stand out for their meaningful contribution to Cumberland's story. the Abbey Studio, historically and culturally important as a former church that has evolved into a dynamic cultural venue, reflecting the community's ability to adapt heritage buildings to contemporary uses. Hydro plant remnants, valued for their connection to the Cumberland Electric Light and Company Limited, and their first efforts to centralize electricity generation for both industrial and residential uses, an important milestone in Cumberland's history. Marochi Building, significant for its association with Cumberland's Italian immigrant community and its role in illustrating the cultural diversity that has shaped the village. And Tarbell Building, notable for its ties to Cumberland's founding era, the growth of local owner-operated businesses, and the long-standing contribution to the Tarbell family to the community's development. Cumberland is a historic village whose identity is deeply rooted in both its tangible and intangible heritage. Throughout the village, historic area, sites, and buildings express this heritage and shape how the community understands its past. The way we conserve, protect, and document these assets reflects the values of our community. Sites listed on the Heritage Register carry recognized social, cultural, and historic value. Their inclusion ensures that these places are acknowledged and thoughtfully considered in present and future planning processes. Registration also opens up door to heritage conservation tools and incentives that support long-term protection, benefiting both the village and the property owners. Staff uses the SOSs to guide their review of heritage alteration permits, building permits, and related applications. The SOSs identify the features that must be respected to ensure conservation principles are upheld. Additional sites continue to be researched and documented for future inclusion. The only financial implication of this project was that the cost of the 2 SOSs prepared by the heritage consultant was funded by the 2025 budget from the Host Amenity Fund. I also want to make a note that after the agenda was already published, we noted a mistake in the first paragraph of the SOS for the hydro plant remnants, that the hydro plant remnants are located in the Coal Creek Park. That will be corrected to say that they're located in the Cumberland Community Forest before a submission is made for registration. Thank you.
And a brief follow-up to that, that reference is also in the recommendation. So if you're reading out that recommendation, could you replace the Coal Creek Historic Park with the Cumberland Community Forest, please?
I wondered about that. I was like, I don't think that's the right park.
How big is that
How
park?
big is that park? Okay. Questions, comments, council?
Sure, I've got just a. I'm just curious, with these statements of significance, do these place any restrictions on any extra restrictions on the owners of the properties? And are all the owners of the property aware that these statements are being placed and in favor of this?
Yeah, so before we start the process, we usually contact the owners to let them know of the process and that statement of significances are being prepared by us, and we often also offer to interview them for their input on the statement of significances. For the first part of the question, the statement of significances don't really put legal restrictions, any additional legal restrictions on the property owners, but they do state what elements should be respected in case there is a heritage alteration permit or any other development permit. So it helps staff to guide the proposed development.
Okay. And that leads me to just a second question, comment, I'm not sure. A number of these buildings have changed fairly significantly from the original pictures to the current pictures. Would those changes have been possible with would some of those changes have been possible with our heritage guidelines now?
You mean with the SOS or with the heritage guidelines?
With just our current heritage guidelines, like the church had an whole extra wing basically put on. Would that be possible to do that today?
Additions are definitely possible with our heritage, with a heritage alteration permit,
Okay.
and the heritage conservation area would guide some of the form and character elements of how it should complement the existing building. I think like completely dramatic changes of from sort of one style to another style, like could be possible with our heritage permit, because our HCA doesn't clearly specify like a period of time that we are meant to replicate. But what it does do is it kind of requires a rationalizing of the proposal with some period of heritage. So, yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just think that part of what's made Cumberland as cool as it is people have generally done what they wanted with their properties for quite a long time here now. Yeah.
In very creative ways. Yeah.
Yes.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
I was part of the crew that renovated the Marochis building, so I'm happy to see this on here. I was just more dead cats in the basement of that crawl space than any building I've ever seen. We're cats and mice, Cumberland style, so happy to see this one on there.
They're all gone now.
Yeah, well, I removed them.
Actually, that leads in quite nicely, if I may, the Marochi building.
Yeah.
I think you and I share the fact we've been in that crawl space.
Yes.
And it truly is a crawl space. That is all you can do. Which brings me to my question, actually. I really appreciate the work done by Mr. Patterson, especially in a volunteer capacity. That's a lot of work for these two statements, and they're very nicely done. His work on Tarbell's had quite a lot of the relatively recent history of renovation. Marochi's, I note, stops at about 1979. I had my office space in that building for nearly 10 years. In fact, immediately following the major renovation that was done. And I'm just curious that none of that renovation history is captured here, and wondering whether there's opportunity in the future to expand or add to these statements to help with that context.
Yeah, so the SOSs are meant to be living documents which can be edited, and if there are any errors, those can be corrected, and if there's anything that staff discovers in some years down the line. So they're supposed to be living documents. So if there are more changes that were not aware about, and the consultant or the Heritage Committee was not aware about, and we discover as we go ahead, then those can potentially be added to the SOSs.
Okay, thank you, because I think we all know, and the owner's well aware, that the siding on that building is in serious need of repair, and that will become a heritage application permit, and therefore the statement of significance will have really helped to input into that. So having enough there. And a very, very small point on that there's a typo, because you caught one before, page 5 of this, or page 88. I think it's the 4th paragraph from the bottom. Becoming should be become. And I'll leave you to find that, I think, in time, but and check with me after if you don't.
All right. Having sat on the Heritage Committee there, I really appreciate the work that goes into this, especially from the volunteers that are on the board. We have some really talented architects that are putting their time into it. I don't think a lot of people realize that there's basically 2 buildings in town that are protected. One is the archway over the Legion, and the other is the old post office, or where Moon's Records is and was, and the Wandering Moose. But what this does allow is to perhaps for the owners of these places to appreciate the significance of their buildings, so that they don't just knock it down and try to work within the history of our village. And it also captures that history for people who are maybe just arriving here and don't really realize it, because our village is growing, and there's a fantastic there's a green book that's in the museum, and I encourage everybody to look at it, because it goes through a lot of this history, and a lot of work went into it. But having these statements of significance really allows a bit of pride and ownership for people who are the current owners, and it allows for them to perhaps pursue some guidelines when they do. I don't want to call them renovations because I think you would kill me at this point, but restoration, revival, and there's one more he uses in there. So that's one of the reasons we do these. So thank you.
Thanks, Council. Yeah, I think these are all really great additions, particularly the buildings, but also especially the hydro plant. It's always sort of surprising for people to, I generally find people standing there going, what is this? So I like that we are moving beyond just buildings and capturing that sort of industrial history of the village as well. So there's recommendations there. Don't forget that it's the Cumberland Forest when you read it, whoever's going to take that.
I would move that council add the following, each documented with a statement of significance to the Community Heritage Register: the Abbey Studio at 2687 Penrith Avenue, the Cumberland Electrical Light and Company Hydroplant Remnants at 49.61140 degrees north and 125.0434 degrees west. I'm not sure which. Yeah, we won't even go into that. And that is not in the Coal Creek Park, but in the Cumberland Community Forest, just past the disc golf course. The Marochi Building at 3276 2nd Street, and the Tarbell Building at 2705 Dunsmuir Avenue. And that staff submit all the required documentation to the BC Heritage Branch.
Thank you. Seconder? Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried unanimously. Thank you, Jasmine. And up next is Japanese Canadian Legacy Project Update and Referral. Happy New Year, Kevin.
Thank you. Same to all of you. Yeah, so this report in some ways also provides context and an introduction to the following report presented by Development Services for the Heritage Alteration Permit. But essentially what it is an opportunity to provide council with an update on the entirety of the project and provide a little bit of context for that HAP, as well as present some of the details and design. And staff recommend we take the opportunity to refer the structure we're proposing to build at No. 1 Town Site to the Heritage Committee as well as part of the referrals process. So as council is aware, there's been several updates through other means, quarterly reports and through strategic planning and whatnot on this project, but it was required to be rescoped just in order to enable a project to proceed within the grant funders deadline, which is the end of this year. And so we've worked closely with the museum and the Japanese Canadian Legacy Society to come up with this project, and in about late summer, early fall, we were really able to dive into some of the details on planning these sites. So at the cemetery, it's largely consistent with what the scope previously was, and there's some details included in the package. No. 1 Town Site in Coal Creek Historic Park becomes a bit more of a focus, and that's building off the work that we did in 2018 and installing what I think could be a pretty cool shelter that's got a little bit of like a baseball theme mixed in at the site of what was the community diamond down at No. 1 Town, and then some minor signage for Nikkei Park, which is going to be developed in the coming year. So that's the update. There's some graphics and other information in the report, and I'm open to any questions.
Thank you. And thanks for all your work so far on this rather large and sometimes challenging proposal. Questions, comments, council? Anybody?
I prefer the wood structure for No. 2. I don't know, the steel looks kind of like a bus stop to me, but I like the wood, and it feels more like a baseball dugout with the wood for me personally, if there was decision in that. But yeah, I'm really happy to support this and looking forward to this.
Yeah, no, I think we've landed in a good place with these three upgrades and updates to do this. Yeah, no, I'm happy to see this finally coming together.
Again, wood.
Sure.
But this was
That's
this was a great spot to land in comparison to some of the other things that were brought forward, and I think everyone should be pretty happy and proud of this. I like the fence too. That's
Thanks for all the work. Oh, I'm going to differ here. I actually quite like the steel. Because of some of the contemporary elements, longevity, and it looked like it provided the ability for more interpretive signage. And there's other sort of aspects around there. I hate to say the idea of someone sort of staying under there and starting a campfire, but there's other thoughts there. But anyway, both designs are attractive. For the cemetery, if I can just ask a couple of questions. The fence enclosing the traditional perimeter, how confident is everybody in that perimeter? Just wanted to be sure that we know that we have. I see we have the one photograph of the cleared space. Are we comfortable that that is the traditional perimeter, or at least is greater than?
Could I refer that to Rachel?
Sure. Yes.
I'd like to say very confident, but best to hear that from her.
We did rely on that photograph when we were considering, replacing the entire fence space, and we did look at quite a number of alternatives, including not replacing the back side of the fence, changing the material, looking at the costs per foot of fencing right now, and that reducing the fenced area, we landed on that based on that historical photograph, but also there doesn't appear to be any interments in the lower part of the cemetery, and the fence will encompass an interment that happened, a burial that happened, I think, around the year 2000, quite low and away from what appears to be the other burials. And I think relying on that those more recent burials were made sometime after, comfortably, so they wouldn't be disturbing past historical pre-World War II, when the community was incarcerated and moved away. So, not always 100% sure, but I think we're very confident and always happy if there's people that have anecdotal information to help us along, always willing to accept that. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Part of this.
Thank you. And can I just also ask, the boulder spacing is 5 meters, and later on in the heritage application it says that is to limit vehicle access, which a 5 meter spacing wouldn't do. So I just wanted to question this. I can see the delineation and that it's treed in that area, but that is a 5 meter spacing of those boulders?
That's a detail I'd have to check with the landscape architect on the project. The intention is to keep vehicles out, so that's a good point. We'll need to double check to ensure that its design performs as intended. So whether trees are used also as obstacles, because it is the perimeter of the forest there, or whether we need to add some more boulders to achieve that desired effect, I think we'll do that. We'll find a way, yeah. Thank you for that.
And finally, you note that as we've all been aware, that this sort of work entails a large amount of in-kind staff cost. Non-profits I've worked with before attempt to dollar budget in kind. Is there? Do we have that? So do we ever do that? And do we have any sort of estimate of what other taxpayer work we haven't done as a result?
Sorry, just to clarify, is the question, have staff been tracking hours related to what the dollar value of the in-kind efforts on the project are?
I'm really just thinking if we put together an entire project budget that included staff time and consultant and contractor time and materials, that would have a certain number. This project doesn't include a number for staff time and other side. I just wondered if that's known, estimated, or we just carry on at council direction.
The short answer is no, it's not specifically being tracked. I know that it's a few years and several staff into this now, so it would no doubt be tens of thousands of dollars. A lot of the time now is being paid out of the grant for landscape design and architectural services, as well as all of the museum's time in research and content development for the signage. So that is now being tracked, those costs, but the actual staff time related to the grant and pre-planning and the administration is not being tracked, no.
Understood. Thank you.
Thanks. Good point, Councillor. I think at times we are brought opportunities that are, well, it's a grant and the grant's going to pay for everything, but somebody has to manage that grant and somebody has to manage the project and shepherd that project through, and that can take an enormous amount of staff time. So it's a good opportunity to just let the community know that even if the thing you want to do or the thing you want to build or the thing you want to have is paid for, it still takes an amount of capacity of staff to implement that thing or project, or even if it's totally amazing, it may not fit into current staff work plans. So thank you for fitting this in. Thank you for clarifying the boulder thing, because that also tweaked me that 5 meters is a bit wide. But happy to see that. And my only question about the cemetery is, do we still accept internments there, and have we built that space into that border?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
There is room. Likely because we don't have records of the layout
Yeah.
and the burials there, it would probably be restricted to cremated remains, and the tree roots would be difficult to accommodate a casket interment.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. There's a recommendation there, Council.
I'll move the council refer the Japanese Canadian Legacy Project Number 1 Japanese Town Shelter concepts to the Heritage Committee for feedback, and that council receive this report for information as an update on the Japanese Canadian Legacy Project, including the scopes for Nikkei no Haka Japanese Cemetery, Number 1 Japanese Town in Coal Creek Historic Park, and Nikkei Park.
Second.
All in favor? And that is carried. Okay, next up is the heritage alteration permit for Nikkei Haka Japanese Cemetery. Oops. Does anybody know if we're saying that right? Haka? Is that how you pronounce it? Yeah. Roger's nodding. Okay. Thank you. Hi, Jasmine.
Okay, before I begin, I would like to acknowledge the cultural, historic, and spiritual significance of the Nikkei no Haka Japanese Cemetery. The site stands as a lasting link to the Japanese Canadian community of Cumberland and to those who were displaced and affected by wartime internment and discrimination. It remains a place of remembrance, reflection, and ongoing connection for descendants and the wider community. The purpose of this report is to request referral to the Heritage Committee of a heritage alteration permit to replace the existing fence with a wooden picket fence and adjust the fence line to reflect the historic area of the cemetery, as well as install new interpretive signage. The Nikkei no Haka Japanese Cemetery is located on Union Road, adjacent to the Chinese Cemetery, and is valued as the final resting place of approximately 198 Japanese Canadian miners, mill workers, loggers, tailors, entrepreneurs, and their family members who lived in Cumberland and the Comox Valley until 1942. The Japanese Cemetery is one of the 3 active cemeteries in the village. This project is one of the 3 projects being undertaken by the village to commemorate Japanese heritage in Cumberland. The cemetery is designated as heritage property by bylaw, and any alterations to the cemetery other than those exempted in the bylaw are subject to AHAP and subject to the approval of council. A painted wooden picket fence currently encloses the entire cemetery parcel. The fence was initially restored and expanded in 1967 and again in 1986 and 2003. Now, nearly 22 years later, the fence has deteriorated beyond repair and requires full replacement. The village, as the property owner, proposes to replace the existing fence with a new wooden picket fence and to adjust the fence line to better reflect the historic extent of the cemetery. The SOS identifies the fence as one of its character-defining elements. The replacement fence will be constructed to closely match the form and scale and appearance shown in the historic pictures referenced in the SOS. The new fence line is intended to include more recent burials and allow space for future burials, while also accurately reflecting the historic extent of the cemetery. The village proposes this perimeter for two main reasons. First, historic photographs referenced in the SOS indicate that only a portion of the property was historically used as a cemetery. Adjusting the fence line will help reflect the original extent more accurately. Second, constructing a fence along the full property boundary would exceed available project funding from the Japanese Canadian Legacies Program. The boundary of the parcel facing the road and parking area where the fence will not be replaced is proposed to be bordered with small boulders to define the parcel boundary as well as to prevent vehicles from entering this area of the parcel. The village installs interpretive signage at historic sites, trails, and other significant locations to share the history and context of these places with visitors. The proposed signs will consist of a panel featuring a photograph and a brief description will be designed in accordance with the village parks and recreation signage guidelines to ensure consistency across the community. The signage is supposed to be located along the walkway approaching the cemetery to not detract from the serenity and sacredness of the cemetery itself. The cost of the new fence and interpretive signage will be funded by the Japanese Canadian Legacies Program, and the installation of the fence and signs will be coordinated by the village community services staff with support from the consultant team funded by the Japanese Canadian Legacy funding. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, comments, council? I think we just asked them all. So it's just occurring to me, and apologies because I just said how the community wants to do things and our staff doesn't have time to manage it, but if the community should want to replace the full perimeter of that existing fence, would it have to go through a heritage alteration permit if they did replaced it in the same like for like? Or could that...
No, if it's just a like for like, then no. If the fence style changes and the location changes, then yes.
Yeah, because right now the Chinese cemetery and the Japanese cemetery match fence-wise, and that creates a particular space. And I get that there's not enough money to do that right now, but in the future that could be something the community wants to initiate. Okay, that was my only question. Anybody else?
We were
wanna
just having a
correct?
conversation. It's like, it's very clear that if the fence was just to be restored like tomorrow in its current location, that wouldn't require a HAP. But if it was years down the road and the original
and the
location
fence
was
was
already
gone.
gone, we were just having a discussion of in that situation, would then a HAP be required? And we didn't completely come to a conclusion.
Okay, so that would be a consideration. Okay, thank you for that. There's a recommendation there, council.
All right. I will, oh, good grief, here we are. Sorry, I just lost myself. I move that council refer the Heritage Alteration Permit, HAP 2505 application for the property described as Lot E, Section 25, Township 10, Comox District Plan VIP 65968, except part in Plan VIP 67631, Nakai no Haka Japanese Cemetery to the Heritage Committee.
Second.
All in favor? That's carried unanimously as well. Okay, next up is resolutions to AVICC Convention, active travel on provincial highways. Rachel?
Thank you. So I think council members will recall that council considered submitting a resolution to AVICC to lobby the province for some active transportation on provincial highway jurisdictions. So while a council member was busy drafting a proposed resolution, staff had some discussions with a consultant to see if they would be able to assist with some research and drafting, the consultant with transportation expertise in that area to assist the village. And there is an option there for council to engage that consultant to a maximum amount of $5,600 if it sees value in that work. The drafted resolution by a council member is also attached. So staff is just seeking direction on which way you would like to go with this.
Thank you so much. Questions, comments, council?
I might as well admit that I set forward this this resolution here, or this resolution for AVICC. Full disclosure, I did use AI to help me draft this. I have since gone through and checked all of the references that it did make.
Wow.
And they all are actual references and live links, most of them from government sources. I have not gone and done the secondary checking of where some of the links got their information from. So that's as far as I've gotten on cross-checking and making sure that that my AI was not hallucinating on me. And yeah, I'll leave it at that for the moment and let you guys weigh in on what, if this is.
Thank you, Councillor, and thanks for your work on this so far. I will just clarify that it is now called the Ministry of Infrastructure and Transit. So that we need to correct that. And also that the connector is not, I don't know what it actually, it's a parkway, so it's got different kind of rules. I don't know that we want to alter it for that. But I do, if we do want to move forward with it, I think we ought to include other examples, like I did a quick math thing, between Qualicum and Parksville is 14 kilometers, like we'd want to broaden the scope so it's not just our connector that we're looking for.
It does say
Oh, does it have multiple?
island communities that are within 30 kilometers of neighboring
Oh, nice,
communities.
okay.
So yeah, that's my envisioning, is make it useful for
Yeah.
everybody up and down the island.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thoughts, questions?
I mean, my observation, having read that in detail, thank you for the work, is that this resolution is a strategic action to communicate to the ministry an item of our concern and to back it up with facts that support it. But it's not neither a legal sort of piece nor has to be a super deep dive. So I feel that the point is made and well supported, and that the additional investment, whilst would potentially create additional areas of detail and may uncover some sort of some changes, I don't think it would change the strategic intent of communicating to the ministry what we want around active transportation in our area and elsewhere. So, in other words, I'm comfortable with not assigning budget for a consultant.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I appreciate the work done here. For resolutions, definitely the idea is there. The support is there for us to pick a consultant to do basically the same thing and most likely get the same result. I think this is good to go.
Yeah, having seen the past two similar resolutions and the results they obtained from the ministry in the past, I don't see spending a bunch of money to just have the ministry again tell us, well, we'll think about it.
Yeah, it's certainly nothing new that we've been clamoring about for a while in numerous levels of government. So I think, yeah, I'm happy with how it's been drafted.
I would like to be clear that when we say result, I think we all mean result in change from the ministry, not the result of engaging a consultant, because I would never prejudge that the consultant will come up with the same answer that we did. It may well be, but I feel confident enough in the briefing note that we have.
Yeah, I have similar feelings about how much energy we put into resolutions given the impact that they may or may not have on the province. But I do want to check in with our corporate secretary to make sure that there's no requirement for the resolution to be like legally factual or have some kind of thorough.
I would say there's no legal requirement, but I think you want
There's
to
a professional
ensure
yeah.
your backgrounder is factual. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I will also say that I think it's Climate Caucus that's hosting a How to Write a Resolution in the near future. So maybe we'll attend that and see what we learn there, and then we can refine it. When does it have to go? What's our deadline?
February 12th is the deadline.
February
So there is
12th.
some time to.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, great. Let's save some money and do that work. We'll help you.
Okay. help.
Okay, so there's a recommendation there to
I would
not, or
suggest
yeah.
just the council submit the resolution. Like there's a part of that resolution you don't have to read, so you can jump from that council.
Yeah.
Submit the resolution.
I'll move the council submit the resolution, provincial funding and development of intercommunity active transportation corridors as drafted to the Association of Vancouver Island and Coastal Communities Convention.
Great, thank you. Seconder?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Let's get some active travel on the connector, shall we, one day?
Trying.
Keep trying. We're just going to keep
trying.
Okay, and next up is 2026 UBCM Community Energy Preparedness Fund Regional Emergency, not energy, Emergency Preparedness Fund Regional Application. Happy New Year, Mike.
New Year, Mayor and Council. So I'm sure you're quite aware of this grant. We've been going on for 2 or 3 years, buying equipment, excuse me, educating, and this is the 3rd year I believe we've been requesting this grant. And this time it's mostly to do with training, education, bringing all our equipment up to date, to the newest stuff, because it's been a couple of years. And a couple things that I know I asked for at these meetings, and none of these are actually really solid, but these things everybody agreed to was a big one was communications. So how do we let everybody know when there's a disaster, what's going on, and what to do, and like a whole valley, but I found it pretty important for Cumberland that and the other one is access or leaving the village, like mapped emergency zones, and all that is part of this grant that Cumberland's asked for. There's not a lot of stuff other than that in this for Cumberland. We got our big $60,000-$70,000 update with all our EOC stuff and equipment, and we're keeping that maintained, and the grant will do that, and the grant will also educate all the people we need in the staff, and myself and everybody else, keep us growing. But I felt the big thing for Cumberland would be communications, because I think that's probably the biggest thing we lack. I know when we have a problem here, everybody's phoning and trying to figure out what's going on, and we don't know how to do it yet either. But we're looking what would work. What are other communities doing, and we don't even know the cost of that stuff yet. So it's all going to come out of this grant apparently. And mapping is pretty not so bad. Like, we know our routes. It's just getting them designated and getting the public educated on, it might be this route, that route. We're kind of lucky because we have the Island Highway out in front of us where we could send people to Campbell River or the Nanaimo, or Courtney Hospital might be hard to get to in our situation. But there's other alternative routes. And we want to map all that and have that ready for a disaster if a disaster happens. And that's that's the money portion coming out of this grant for Cumberland.
Awesome, thank you. Questions, council?
I kind of had a question way out of left field here, and this is kind of related to the public notification and evacuation planning. If you've heard anything, Chief, you know how you get those national alerts and your phone goes nuts and stuff. Is there anything on the table for something that's geofence within Cumberland? Because that, to me,
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, that's what we're going to be trying to look into. What is available for us, and yeah, that was a big concern I had at these meetings, and they agree. They agree that the committee that's there agrees that that is very valuable to our residents and to all of us.
Yeah.
Not just Cumberland either, but
for everybody. Yeah, no, I totally support that. Thank you.
I just don't know. I just can't tell you how that's going to develop because we don't know yet.
You're not going to develop the app for us, are you? No.
I'm pretty sure it won't be me.
Okay, good. Thank you. Sorry, anybody else have questions?
Just to be clear, we have received these grants in the past, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay. Yep.
And I'll tell you, they've brought our emergency team, our emergency system, way up from where we were 3 years ago. Today, it's pretty good.
Good.
Yeah, I will just take this opportunity to say that having a regional emergency management service is a really great thing and has really upped our game and upped the game of every municipality and the areas in the valley. My only question is, this is a rather large grant, and since we talked about the implication of staff time on grants, even though it's not our grant and we don't have to administer this one, CVRD is administering this, will Public Works or anybody else, is that department involved? Do you know, I see that your operational implications include just the fire department, but I'm wondering who else might need to be involved in the village and what kind of time that might be.
I do believe that if there's any other costs, it comes from this grant.
Okay, even our staff time would come out of there?
I think all the education and Michelle might be able to correct me a bit on that, but education and all that time is.
Yeah, so any kind of education, of course, staff time going to those won't be covered.
Oh, won't be
right,
covered.
That's in. So that's not outlined. But I think what Mike was saying about the communications and the other focusing on education is that as other grants in the past have required staff time for installation, we're not thinking that this one will. Like for anything that you're buying,
no
anything that
equipment or
staff would
anything.
have
No,
to-
but if you send people to the education courses, I guess it will
Yeah.
be staff time.
Okay, for our benefit. Okay, thank you. There's a recommendation there, council.
Sure. I'll move that council support the following regional applications to the Union of BC Municipalities Community Emergency Preparedness Fund to be submitted for the 2025 Emergency Support Services Equipment and Training Stream in the amount of up to $150,000. 2026 Emergency Operations Center Training and Equipment Stream in the amount of up to $150,000. 2026 Public Notification and Evacuation Planning Stream in the amount of up to $200,000. And 2026 Indigenous Cultural Safety and Humility Stream in the amount of up to $150,000, and that council support the primary applicant, the Comox Valley Regional District, to apply for, receive, and manage the grant funding for each successful grant in the Community Emergency Preparedness Fund stream on behalf of Comox First Nations, City of Courtenay, Village of Cumberland, and the Town of Comox. And can I just note, is the 2025 on the first one a typo?
It's correct.
Oh, okay.
It just
Yeah, it
didn't
was
come in front of you at that time.
Okay.
Then I will second that.
Okay, and all in favor of that? Thank you, that's carried unanimously. Thanks, Mike. Next up is council member monthly reports. Any questions on those? I have one for Councillor Tyrion, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So it looks like Comox Strathcona Waste Management Center is looking at their capital budget at least, no tax increases. Are you comfortable with that? I know that without tax increases, it's very difficult to do any increased work. Is that going to increase our user fees and other things?
No. Well, yes. Yes, it is. There is no tax increase. The board has been pushing for and is moving more towards a user pay model. So we just saw the budget at the last meeting. It'll be in my next report, but trying to think the number off the top of my head. I believe the $1.5 million increase in operations and capital costs in this budget are going to be completely covered by increases in tipping fees.
Great. So we could maybe advocate for increased cleanup around illegal dumping as well, because I feel like that's going to be a result of increasing dumping fees.
It was surprising. There was a graphic at the last meeting that showed the amount of illegal dumping in relation to tipping fees.
Doesn't.
And it didn't affect it at all.
Those people were never going to pay anyway.
That was the staff's comment was bad people are bad, and
no amount of lowering the fees will help that.
And they were not going to pay those fees whether they were whatever they were.
Okay.
So there will be some increases to I believe $10 a ton to municipal rates. And a similar amount for most construction waste, demolition waste, drywall, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. So our garbage
pretty much
collection
just about
fees will
across the
go up.
board, $10 a ton increase, and then some future increases in a few years.
Okay, thank you for that. Anybody have any other questions on anything in the reports? If not, there's a motion there.
I move that council accept the member monthly reports for December 2025.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Now we're on to package number 2 for those of you on your computers. And the next up is 2026 to 2030 financial plan bylaw 1243-2025. And I believe we've seen this twice already, so it's just for adoption.
I'll move that council adopt the 2026 to 2030 financial plan bylaw 1243-2025.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. And the next is the same municipal ticket information amendment bylaw for adoption.
I'll move that council adopt the municipal ticket information amendment bylaw number 1244/2025.
Second.
Thank you. And all in favor of that? And that is unanimous as well. And revenue anticipation borrowing bylaw, same thing.
I'll move that council adopt the municipal ticket information, adopt the revenue anticipation bylaw number 1251/2025.
Second.
Thank you. And all in favor? That's carried. And next up, we're not going to maybe go that fast. Official community plan bylaw number 1230/2025, third reading and adoption. Congratulations to staff for getting it this far, and for us, and the community for getting it this far, for everybody. Happy New Year, Karen.
Yeah, Happy New Year. That's right. January. Okay, yeah, this report brings back the official community plan bylaw for any last proposed amendments supported by council and third reading and adoption. So I just have a brief introduction. Really want to emphasize throughout the OSP process what we learned. Cumberland is a very diverse community, and by the same time, it would be unreasonable to expect that we can all agree exactly on how Cumberland should grow and adapt to change. But having said that, I think I do feel that the OCP reflects the collective
vision and goals of the people who call Cumberland home. And community engagement was really key to this OCP process. It started with the Planning and Streets event in 2023, concurrently also with the Transportation Master Plan, and where we discussed the vision and goals for the community and also identified some hot topics to be discussed. Then there was quite a little bit of work with the committees within their mandates on different policy areas, work with the Advisory Planning Commission on the growth scenarios and some proposed policy changes. We held an open house on that, a virtual open house, and had a survey. And then in the fall 2025, we released the entire draft bylaw so people could get into the nitty-gritty, and that was shared with the community for comment. Concurrent with the OCP process, we completed that Transportation Master Plan, a Climate Action Plan, a complete communities assessment, and a Housing Needs Report. So just before I go into I won't talk too much about the proposed amendments, just a few highlights, but also just wanted to, for the benefit of the audience here and for everybody, just summarize the key changes the OCP is making over the previous one. I think there's a number of very important changes. There's a stronger emphasis on policies related to reconciliation with First Nations. Rather than just having one section that talks a little bit about First Nations, we do have policy throughout the OCP now that encourage participation and working with in particular Comox First Nation on initiatives. With regards to environmental protection, the OCP establishes an urban containment boundary, which contains most of the new residential growth within a specific area within that boundary, which reduces sprawl outside of the boundary. There's a new greenhouse gas reduction target and supporting climate actions that came from the Climate Action Plan. We have a more comprehensive map showing active transportation corridors, parks, trails, and conservation lands. I think adding conservation lands was new. We have a new freshwater land use designation over the surface of bodies of water, such as Comox Lake and Maple Lake. Map A, that's the future land use map, now shows the boundaries of the Comox Lake watershed, which is the region's drinking water supply, and locates the industrial land use designation outside of the boundary. We also increased the size of the groundwater protection DP and to protect the large unconfined aquifer that lies below the village, and it applies particularly to the high-risk uses such as you find in the industrial areas. When it comes to the built environment, the new OCP now includes a new civic mixed-use facility designation, which provides more flexibility and creativity, I think, to the redevelopment options of village-owned properties that could then be redeveloped with a mix of institutional, commercial, and residential uses. We have a much larger residential infill area, where the provincial small-scale multi-unit housing regulations apply that permit up to 4 units. And some additional properties are designated for multifamily to meet Cumberland's 5 and 20-year housing need. And so the Heritage Conservation Area Guidelines, we made all of our DP guidelines hopefully clearer and used supporting images to more clearly express what is desired and expected. And in particular, the HCA guidelines more explicitly allow council also to require that taller buildings are designed to reduce the massing of the building and the impact on the streetscape and adjacent lower buildings. With regards to the economy, the new OCP aims to reduce barriers to local economic development, encourage a strong local economy. So we now have that was a change that was made on the draft OCP just only this fall. A single industry designation, which includes industrial and commercial, that provides greater flexibility for diverse enterprises that might not fit neatly into one single category. There's no DP requirement for infill housing, which will hopefully help that infill housing to be a little bit easier, more efficient. We've reduced the emphasis on increasing tourism and instead a greater emphasis on capturing more value from existing tourism. And then also have language on the role arts and culture play in the local economy. That wasn't so explicit before. And then with regards to community well-being, I think a important value continues to be diversity, equity, and inclusion. So the OCP explicitly supports that and now includes also a separate short section on aging in place. It was there, but it was kind of hidden. So, yeah. So there's a few amendments, and the proposed at this point, and mostly in response to referral comments that received, and just as a bit of housekeeping, I suggest if council members do not agree on one of the amendments, there's a long resolution with amendments. We have to do that because the bylaws already received readings. It's no longer a draft. So if you don't agree with a particular amendment, we suggest that you take that out of the resolution, discuss it first, and vote on it. And then, and then when you pass the resolution, you don't actually have to read it all. I confirmed that with Rachel. But when you pass the resolution, just say as written, except, if you pulled something out. So, and then just a few key amendments that we're proposing, I think. So there's now an identification of a town center to correspond more explicitly to a regional growth strategy policy, and to have our regional context statement is proposed to be amended to identify that town center, which would align with the heritage, the historic village commercial core. And so I checked the densities that's in the RGS and currently in our heritage, the historic village commercial core. So we aligned, and actually on Dunsmuir in particular allow higher densities than the minimum target in the RGS. The amendments would also change the 500-meter buffer around the landfill shown on map A, future land use to buffer the provincially approved landfill cells only, and then leave the rest to a future planning process for a solid waste management plan once that's completed. And a third one is it's a copy edit made for legibility, but it has a big impact because we're coloring the entire wildland urban interface development area the same color to avoid confusion. There's not 2 DPAs, there's one, so it's one color. So small edit, but huge visual impact. And then we're including structures in the heritage alteration permit exemption that deals with like for like. Exterior maintenance and repair. So if you're replacing something in the heritage conservation area with something that looks similar, use similar materials, you're exempt from a HAP. So we've always treated the existing HAP exemption is actually similar and doesn't explicitly mention structures, but we've always included structures. So this makes it more explicit that we would consider structures as part of that. That exemption would apply. Yeah, so I think that's really the key ones. So it's really open for questions and comments. Thanks.
Thank you. Questions? Who wants to, or comments? Anybody?
Sure, I'll start. I don't have any problems with any of the edits and things in response to the referrals that we've had. I think these all make sense. I just want to say thank you, guys. This has been a long road. I think this is a great document. The inclusions, as you mentioned, for everything from climate change to reconciliation to diversity and inclusion. These are all great additions to this document. I think this is a really good piece of legislation and is going to serve the village very well for at least the next 5 years. And I guess we're starting on the next one in about a year. Thank you guys so much. This is great to see this finally coming to the finish line here.
Yeah, I share similar thoughts. Just kind of some comments, like on our mean age at 41 or 42, says it's going to not change because we're a lot of young families moving in and singles. I'd like to make sure that still is a possibility in this village with our diverse housing stock that we need. Our adaptability actions are pretty lofty, but we got to aim for something. As well as our housing demands are very sobering, but as far as the guiding document, I don't think it could be more succinct or detailed. And it's a perfect roadmap for a healthy community, so thanks you guys. Thanks to the community and council.
Yeah, I having worked on this quite a while with you, thank you very much, staff. I know how much hard work you put into it. I don't have any problems with any amendments. The one thing I do acknowledge was that urban containment boundary is a difficult one. That's, I would say, of all the community members I spoke to, that was the one possibly contentious item, and it was on both sides of that. People wanted to see it expanded. People wanted to. We're happy with how we've contained it and preserved some of those larger properties. So, that will be something that will likely be visited in the next go around, and probably that will be one of the first things on the table. But I think there's a compromise, and a very, very noble one that we've all worked hard on, and especially the community members who came out and gave their input. So, thank you.
Thank you. I'd echo that. Actually, thank you for referencing the containment boundary. I think for those that didn't hear some of the comments at the last discussion, it's such a complex issue that it's very hard even for us and staff and everybody to get their heads around it. So it's something that is worthy of detailed public consultation, because, as you say, some people prefer to be included, some people prefer to be excluded, and I think that's based on a limited understanding of the impact. And so I think doing that in the next go round 5 years hence is absolutely appropriate, because it wasn't possible to do that depth in this one. I'd also thank staff for the report that you've put in with this, that as you have done all along the way, has explicitly referenced feedback that's received and addressed it and given an answer, and given council the opportunity to make our individual judgments on whether we're satisfied with that answer moving forward. So we hear rationale all the time, rather than I said this but we've done that. So I really want to thank you for that, for giving that feedback that we're all able to react to properly and make a considered decision. And so yeah, thank you. And as with the others, I'm not going to pull anything from this list for any further discussion.
Thank you. Ditto to all of that. But I am going to ask something. A question. There was one of the feedback points was that the vision statement didn't speak to the history of Cumberland. And even given this agenda, and because I drafted the vision statement, I feel like I want to add just a line. Would that mean, does that send it back to public hearing, or can we? No.
No.
Okay. So could we just add something like, it starts with Cumberland is a thriving, inclusive community built upon, and then add its rich and complex working class history? Does that sound good to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
And then it would continue to say, and is shaped by its mountain landscape and sustained by the creativity, care, and resilience of its people. In that first sentence. And we'd have to make a motion around that, I'm guessing.
Yeah, we'll just take a minute to type out what that would look like and make sure
Okay.
we have it right here.
Thank you.
What page is the vision statement on?
182 of 500. It's in the previous council direction.
182 of 500. Okay.
Okay, vision statement.
And then there's one other similar thing while you're doing that. And I'm going to find it.
That's 231.
On page, sorry, I'll wait till you finish and then I'll.
Yeah, I got it here.
I was thinking I would just put it into a Word document and then make sure we've got it right, you know what I mean? Yeah. Draft changes. Oh, yeah.
It's going to screw up all the alignment and everything.
I'll save it.
There's plenty of white space. You got lots of white space.
There you go.
Yeah.
This one's still.
Yeah.
I've lost it
worried
in all
it's
my
gonna
tabs.
Make it 2 pages.
It's going to bump the page.
That's what I was worried about. I'm like,
It's going to bump the page thing.
it's in my computer. It's on my laptop though. But I can say it again for you.
Okay, yes, can you say it again? I went Okay. Ready.
Okay, ready? So the first part stays the same. Cumberland is a thriving. inclusive community built upon its rich and complex working class history
Upon its rich and complex working class history.
and shaped, and then it goes back into the regular text.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. So then,
Can somebody make a motion around that? Does anybody have?
You can make a motion.
Can I make my own motion?
I don't know.
That's
It
weird.
is hooked up if we need it.
Okay, I can do that.
I think I've got it, yeah.
Okay.
We've got to craft the resolution.
No?
Well, it's not good practice.
To section 3.0 vision statement, right? Is that what it's called? Do you have it up there?
Yes.
Yep.
Vision
There it is. Beauty.
statement. Insert. And after.
This kind of feels apropos.
Nothing like editing on the spot.
Close to the finish line.
Shape.
So close to the finish line.
How does that look? That would be the resolution.
Final shine up.
Ah, that's good, yeah.
Okay, it doesn't mess up any of the formatting or anything. Okay, great. Oops. Okay, so the other thing is on page,
Do you need that motion?
yeah, sure, so let's do that motion. Well, we could combine if we want to, if this one flies as well. Let's do the first one first.
Do you mean do the first one first?
Like, do the motion.
Make this motion before my next small addition.
Can I just move that we amend the vision statement, section 3.0, as read?
Adequate, Rachel? You can put all the bylaw references in there?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's to say built to add after the word community. Oh, here we go. Add after the word, oh, you sent it to me.
So efficient.
After the word community, sorry. Built upon its rich and complex working class history and, unquote, after the word community and before the word shaped. Okay.
Yes.
Seconder?
Second.
Thank you. And all in favor?
Yeah, that's a nice addition.
Thank you. Okay, and then next thing is on page 272 of 500 or 65 of the OCP.
272, holy smokes.
And while we're finding that, I will just say that as I went through this document again, it really does feel like it represents Cumberland in a really good way. So on top of all the other compliments and feedback that council has given, thank you for that work, and thanks to everyone who participated in this work. It's no small thing to revise your official community plan, and community engagement is really key for that. So thank you, not just to staff and council, but to the community members who participated. And so on page 272 of 500, it's a bit about the coal mining era. And this may not be appropriate, but as I was reading it, I was like, oh, it goes straight from coal mining to and now we're this mountain biking town that's, reinvented itself. And I was like, well, there's a big period in there that kind of got not represented. So I don't know whether we want to say, just add forestry also played a really big role and is partly the reason we preserved this vast amount of land on the side of Cumberland. But it's also a big part of who we were for a large amount of time. And I don't have the wording for that ready. So I'm happy to, if we can just make a vague motion to add forestry to that paragraph somehow and leave that to staff. I just think it could be, yeah.
I think that's very appropriate, considering the logging industry ran in tandem with the coal industry on the lake, and then later on we had a lot of tree planters and
Yeah, we still-
reforestation
yeah.
individuals moving into towns as well, in conjunction with the lumber industry. So that's very appropriate. I don't know how
Yeah,
we.
so maybe Cumberland remained an active coal mining town until 1966, and then transition to forestry or something like that.
Forestry remains.
Does that make
active.
sense?
About a transition, but a remaining.
Or, remains, yeah.
Remaining
There's still
industry
a
was
ton of tree
lum-
planters
was
here. Not many
forestry.
loggers, but tree planters, yes.
Oh, I'd say there's a fair number of
There's a
fallers.
few.
Yeah, there's a lot of fallers
Not
in
like
town
before.
still, so.
May I ask a process question then? Because I super support that, but I don't feel we've got the words
Yeah.
right now. Is there likely to be is there a way of putting this? Is it appropriate to put this into a forthcoming housekeeping amendment so that it's not forgotten, or is there a way, of getting it into the document that we're likely to approve as amended tonight?
Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, you do have to have the exact words because we're working on a bylaw
Right,
now.
because we're adopting.
I mean, we could just take a couple minutes and try and
Sure.
come up with something and read it out.
Sure.
Do you want to give us? Yeah.
Could I ask you to say again where you arrived at most recently here, and then I'll be able to type it out.
So on page 272, the paragraph is the third paragraph down. Cumberland remained an active coal mining town until 1966. And it's
As the coal industry declined, forestry remained strong, with both harvesting and reforestation workers being present in the town.
that continues to this day, or something like
Continues
that.
to this day.
Uh,
I like that.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Say that again.
As the coal industry declined, forestry remained strong, with both harvesting and replantation workers populating the town, or keeping the town going strong.
Alive.
Oh, vibrant.
Yeah.
I like that. Keeping the town
keeping
vibrant.
the town
Well, that's
shout it out, Michelle. Everybody, just say what you think. We'll get there. Minutes away. Stop in camera.
I would have that sentence reading as the coal industry declined, forestry remained strong, with both harvesting and replantation workers populating the town.
Oh, keeping the town vibrant.
Mm-hmm.
Let's leave it at that.
Keeping the town vibrant, yet the local population decreased? Because we have that about
Yeah.
the local population decreased.
Even as the local
Even as the
population.
Even as.
Yes.
There we go.
Even as the village.
Hmm.
I heard something on my ear there. That sounds good. Keeping the village vibrant, even as the local population decreased.
Decreased, yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think
Team
that sounds
efforts
good.
right till the
Right till the end.
teams till the end.
Sorry for the
Yeah.
last minute editing, everybody.
Just trying to keep them on their toes.
Okay, so then that would be. Okay, now, so what's the reference?
making
Are
for
you
really
there?
boring
Section,
YouTube, I bet.
bylaw section?
Oh yeah.
What are they doing?
section.
Nobody's talking. They're just
Sitting around
staring
looking at each
around.
other.
4.1.
Now we need
And
the
what's the
Cumberland
title of
song
that
there.
section?
Yeah.
0.1.
Does it have like a name to it?
It's just 7.4.1 overview.
Okay,
It's under 7.4 heritage conservation,
okay, sure.
7.4.1 overview.
And then which paragraph is that? That is the, oh, yes, under the coal mining era subheading to the
I would say
fifth
town by accident.
third.
You don't go to village, you go to town if you live in the bush. It's ingrained.
Totally. Town just means like going to town.
Yeah, but
Yeah. Will never be a town. Yeah.
is it replantation or
That's right. It'd still be relatively.
Harvesting and replantation. Let's double check that.
Reforestation, I would say.
Is it reforestation and reforestation?
Harvesting and reforestation workers.
workers keeping the village vibrant, even as
Population declined, yeah.
And I've got it in stream there.
as the local. Yeah. Yeah. It's still decrease, it says.
Shrinking as it's vibrant.
Yeah.
After declined and before.
Yeah.
local.
You don't want to say rowdy.
Streets.
Yes, safe. Or just walk
Hey, Rachel, I'm sending it to you.
maybe not safe.
Okay, so what we have is that you'd be amending the bylaw to running the bylaw as follows to section 7.1 under the coal mining era subheading. To the 5th paragraph, insert, quote, forestry remains strong with both harvesting and reforestation workers keeping the village vibrant, even as, end quote, after declined and before the local. We have to write the bylaw amendment that way.
Yep.
Okay.
Awesome, thank you. Is anyone willing to move that?
I thought that was the fourth paragraph.
No, it's the 5th
I'll,
in the,
Oh, sorry.
I'll
right,
move
yeah.
that change as, or that amendment as described.
Second.
okay? Seconder? Second, okay. All in favor? Thank you so much, and apologies for the delay that took. And congratulations. Somebody needs to make the big motion now, but we don't have to read all that out.
I'll move the council move the official community plan bylaw number 1230, 2025 for third reading and adoption, including all the.
No?
Or
How do we say it?
Amend. Sorry, amend.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah, sorry, okay. I'll amend the official community plan bylaw number 1230, 2025 with all the bullets included. Is that
Okay, seconder?
Second.
All in favor?
Clarify. Does that include the amendments in the sections 1 as well as the mapping and
All
the
amendments,
copy
yes.
edits as
Yes.
well, all three
all three amendments?
sections? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, all in favor?
Oof.
That's the OCP. Congratulations. Yay!
Almost.
No, it's not.
Okay, sorry.
No.
We have more. Number 4. There's another
Okay.
third reading.
I'll
and
move
then
that
adoption.
council give third reading to the official community plan bylaw number 1230, 2025 as amended.
I thought I said that.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? And that one's good, and there's one more?
I'll move that council adopt official community plan bylaw number 1230, 2025.
Second.
All in favor? Now we can cheer.
Now we can.
Thank you so much. Okay, so no new business, notice motions, announcements, nothing. Right? Nope. So question period.
Don't we have a heritage meeting this week?
It's not there. You had one.
Don't we have a heritage meeting this week? 15? Yeah, we do. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Heritage Committee, tell me when?
It's on the 15th here, Thursday night at 4 p.m.
This Thursday,
In the
January 15th at 4 p.m. here in the Cultural Center?
No, Masonic Hall.
Oh, sorry. On the
Masonic Hall.
Masonic Hall. I thought you said the sidewalk. Oh, we are desperate for space. Okay, in the Masonic Hall. Yes. Okay, and with that, we can move to question period. Yay, we have an audience. Okay, Roger had his hand up first, so go ahead. If you wouldn't mind coming to the mic, you can sit or stand.
There we go. I have a few questions on 3 different items on the agenda, so maybe I'll do the 2 agenda items where I just have one question and then come back to the agenda item that I've got a few questions. Okay. So I'm looking at item number 7.1, so the OCP amendment and rezoning for Lot A Maple Street. And I'm just wondering, and I guess this question is through the mayor to staff, when they were referring to affordable housing in some of the things that were going to be discussed further with the proponent, does that include non-market housing?
You mean, does it just mean non-market housing, or does it mean affordable housing?
Does it include non-market housing, so subsidized housing?
Oh, I see.
Because they were just talking about affordable rental housing in
Right.
the presentation.
Right, I see. Okay. Hasn't been determined yet.
Okay.
So that would be good input from the public on that.
Well, if
Well,
it
you
comes
have it now.
if it comes back to, well, yeah, that would
come
be,
back to council for sure.
yeah, because it potentially won't go to a public hearing, right? Could be if it
Yeah.
fits within the OCP, the new OCP.
Yes. Thank you.
The next question is around item 7.4, the heritage alteration permit for the Japanese cemetery. Now, the recommendation was just about about referring the permit to the Heritage Committee. So when would the HAP actually be adopted?
It would be my understanding that it would go to Heritage and then it would come back and then we would approve it.
Okay.
So sometime.
Okay. Well, it won't be on the agenda for the 15th.
No. Oh, it is.
It's this one?
Oh, it is? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So it could come back to the next council meeting.
Come on, on Thursday.
So yeah, it could come back to the next council meeting.
Okay.
Unlikely?
February, yeah, not,
Oh.
Okay.
not this Thursday, no.
Right.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So the remainder of my questions are for item 7.3, the
Sorry, Roger, it is this Thursday, I'm told, so.
The Heritage.
No, this will be on this Thursday's Heritage Committee meeting, okay.
And then when it comes back to council,
It'll be in
would make
February.
the January 26th agenda deadline, but we would likely have it on February 9th.
Okay, so the recommendations from this Thursday's Heritage Committee will come back February 9th.
Okay, and then
To
now
council.
I just have some questions around item 7.3, the Japanese Canadian Legacy Project. So the first question I have is around the budget. So the staff report talks about the budget on page 4 of the report. It starts on page 3 of the report, and it talks about the project costs at approximately $251,657. And then it talks about the budget aligns with the revised grant funding amount. So are those amounts the same? Or
Yes.
is the approximate budget what was actually approved in the grant? Because it talks about what's it say here? Yeah, well, on page 3 of the report, so it's 106 of 500 of the council agenda. So it talks about costs are subject to refinement through detailed design and procurement, but that 251,657 seems to be, well, it says it's a Class D estimate. So one would think going from a Class D to actually construction, the budget's probably going to go up.
Yeah, sorry, I guess that's a little bit maybe misleading. The total project budget is 251,000. The specific line items, we may move some funds around
Okay.
from one project to another in order to make best use of the full budget and maximize the extent of the fence and the extent of the structure at number 1 town.
Thank you.
That was intended to say.
Okay. But so the total budget is the amount that's
The total budget is the amount that's there, yeah.
51,657. Okay.
Correct.
Okay, thanks. So now that this is being referred to the Heritage Commission as well, so this whole plan for the whole Japanese Legacy Society project. I'm just wondering about when we would anticipate the actual construction to start for, I guess, all of the. And
Targeting summer for the majority of the works.
okay. Okay.
The work would start in the summer. I'm just repeating it into the mic so that if
okay.
anyone's listening at home.
Okay. And then there was some discussion around the boulders put in to delineate the parking lot from the rest of the site. But with the reduced coverage of the fencing, there's going to be sort of it's not open because it's forested, but there'll be some area that isn't enclosed anymore. And the only thing, so has staff thought about other encroachments on that area that's not fenced anymore? Because I know I'm aware that there has been some camping in the area around the cemetery. So I'm just wondering, if there's no fence, is there some provision in there to sort of enforce or protect or prevent the area from becoming an encampment?
I think the boulders are meant to provide that barrier for vehicles that are being used for camping. But I think that people are moving into all kinds of places as they need to find places to be, and that will be an ongoing bylaw enforcement process.
Okay. And I just got a couple more questions here about the interpretive signage at all three sites, at Nikkei Park, the #1 Japanese town site, and at the cemetery. I've had some informal discussions with museum staff about the possibility of QR codes being put on that interpretive signage, so that someone could scan with their phone and they could actually access the information that the museum already has. So instead of just having the information that's not just on the one interpretive board, they could access basically the full archive of the museum for the Japanese cemetery, for #1 town site, and for I don't know how much information there is around Nikkei Park, but that would seem to be a simple piece, and it's something that I understand the museum has started to do, of having these, virtual interpretive presentations. So is that envisioned as part of the interpretive signage?
It may not be yet. Could it be?
I can inquire with the museum.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've had some discussions with museum staff about that, and they seem to be
that sounds
saying
like
that it could be done. So
yeah, that would be cool.
Because when staff talked about the interpretive signage of it being informative, but also not, overbearing on the areas that they're in, you're not going to be able to get all of the information that people might have questions about on that signage. But if individuals could have access to the archive of the museum for those sites, I think that would be really good, and it could be a big pilot for other areas within the village as well. And the last question I have is that in some of the drawings or some of the panels or pictures, there's a picture of a torii gate, or two different styles of a torii gate. So is a torii gate being envisioned for any of these sites?
What is a torii gate?
That's the arch.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's being considered as an architectural feature in the shelter at #1 town.
Okay. I'm aware of one of the, I don't want to call them ancestors, but previous residents of the Japanese town he was a resident before the war, though, and moved away before the war, but his family was here. And him and another family who used to live in Cumberland are willing to pay for a Tory gate. So, and one of them is Mr. Iwasa, and I think people at the museum know him quite well. But Mr. Iwasa is he's in his 90s now, so I don't know how much longer he's going to be around with us. So if that is a possibility, I guess I could connect you with him.
Okay.
I think they've talked to village staff in the past about putting a Tory gate next to the bridge that's on the trail. Anyways, but it might be better off in a different site, because I know I've looked at it and I'm going, well, that might not be a best location for the Tory gate beside the bridge. So,
Right.
anyways,
Okay. Thank you.
yep, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions? I saw another hand there. Yes, can you come up and use the mic? Thank you.
I have a double-barrel question. I'm
Okay.
Grace Doherty. I was chair of the Coal Creek Advisory Advisory Committee for a few years. Also spent about 10 years, at least twice a week, down at #1 Japanese Town, doing some gentle landscape maintenance and watering the trees. And also part of a small group of volunteers that cleared woody debris out of the Japanese cemetery for a few years, including Ann Bauman, who's in the audience.
Thank you both.
First part of my question, it's about the dugout with the storyboards. I can see where that would be a very fitting nod to the Japanese baseball players in the past in the village park. Down in #1 Town, it seems, even out of wood, it's a rather jarring contrast to what's otherwise a very pastoral, serene setting. And I also, in talking to former residents and also looking at pictures, I'm wondering, was there ever a dugout down there? Because, and why I ask is it would seem that the linear design of that and the big storyboard doesn't really invite picnicking or people getting together. It's really meant to be a viewing stand or a dugout for players. So I kind of question that. And that leads to the second part of the question, which is whether or not some modification of that, or maybe even elimination of that, could be considered with a view to extending the fence at the cemetery around the whole property, which I think would be much more respectful. Also, as part of the volunteer group down there, we raked the whole property and had a huge pile, probably as long as that end wall, 4 feet high, 3 feet wide, of woody debris. So there was a lot of material moved. And in the process, well below the proposed fence line, I was finding 3 foot by 7 foot depressions. And the GP ground penetrating radar that was done as a favor to one of the Coal Creek Park committee members. It was done by a company who had just received the equipment and, wanting to try it out, offered to do a pro bono ground penetrating radar of the cemetery. Since then, it has been discovered that not only did the tree canopy interfere and the tree roots which are growing out of some of the graves, but also that the transect lines should have been closer together. So while it was inconclusive, I don't think that can be assumed to mean there probably is nothing there. I think it's quite the reverse, that if there's any suggestion that there remains there, that should be honored. And I think boulders that have been blasted from the school site is not a fitting way to complete the perimeter around the property. And Mayor Brown, you alluded to maybe that there could be public additions to funding, but I also wonder if there could be some modification to other aspects of this project in order to really put a respectful, proper fence around the whole property that was designated as a cemetery.
Thank you for that. The defining the scope of this, the work to be done by this grant has been extremely challenging. And the JCLS, I think I have the acronym right, was very persistent about what they wanted. So that's where the dugout idea has come from. And yes, they did want it in Village Park, but as you may know, we are doing a master plan for Village Park and we're not ready to do that. So that's what that adaptation, that's where that came from. Yeah. And the resulting reduction in funding because of the reduction in scope is why we can't do the fence where the fence really likely should be. So it is complicated. I don't know if Kevin, you want to add anything to that? But it has been a very complicated and challenging process to define the scope, and I think we've come up with the best we can in collaboration with the funder, but there are limitations.
And I would like to acknowledge what Kevin's done and Jasmine
Yeah.
and Ryan Parker before that. But I would caution in terms of the property itself that certainly what I was finding is possible vestiges of grave sites
Okay.
well down on the property.
Yeah, that's really good to know, and maybe we can do some more digging and not digging.
Poor choice.
You know what I mean? Do
And I would
some
be quite
more
happy to,
exploration of whether or not we have any proof of that. And yeah.
And I'd be quite happy to talk to councillors or staff or to the Heritage Committee with further information, because I really got to know both properties quite intimately over the years. So.
Yeah, I think the route would be through Kevin and the museum is who's working on it now. So that would be great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Anybody else? Any questions in the audience? Anything online? And thank you for all your work down there in the past. And yeah, it's a really, really lovely spot. I'm down there all the time.
Thank you both.
I have a question by email. How can you have a proposed zoning change being approved to proceed when it is not in compliance with the existing zoning? And what section of the law allows you to proceed on the assumption that the proposed zoning bylaw will be approved? How does this make it a fair process of the public hearing process?
How do I answer that? Well, the OCP has been approved now. The application was in process, and council has not approved it or given any sort of approvement except for a vague set of hopes for the development and direction to keep the development moving forward. So we have not approved anything yet. And the application came in prior to the OCP, and it only makes sense that we look at our new OCP when thinking about what the future of that site looks like, because as you know, we've just adopted the OCP. That's it. Okay, so we are moving to closed, I believe. Somebody wants to make that recommendation?
I'll move that council close the meeting to the public pursuant to section 90 of the Community Charter to consider labour relations and other employee relations.
All in favor? We are
Hands up.
closed. Thank you all so much for being here.